Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nightshade, and of course, this is going to be game number one of the ThunderDog Esports.com Team League matchup here between IvD and iGx. Of course, up in the top left-hand corner, representing IvD Gaming, of course, is FOV. And of course, he is going to be our green Terran player. Down in the bottom right-hand corner is his opponent, a Masters League Terran, so certainly FOV is going to have his hands full. Down in the bottom right-hand corner from Imperative Gaming, of course, is Sodsax. You can check out Imperative Gaming, of course, at imperativegaming.wordpress.com. He is going to throw down the usual supply depot. We can expect the same out of FOV, of course, up in the top left-hand corner. And, of course, FOV is Krzysztof Reiner from Poland, and he's been around for a little bit. He's, of course, on IvD's gaming roster, and certainly one of the more valuable players. He keeps him around, keep him busy. Certainly, he is going to be very, very busy today. He is going to throw down the barracks very, very quickly here. Should point out not taking the gas first, so no 1-1-1 out of him, at least not just quite yet. On the flip side of things, Sodsax, of course, is going to throw down his racks, but then is going to throw down his refinery right behind it. So it's not quite as cheeky as you could. Like, he's not going for that factory build right away, but he is going to probably be going with that Reaper expand, or at least a Reaper to start for his scouting. And, of course, he is Richard, Ciora, I believe I am pronouncing that correctly, from, I believe it's the United States. Hard to make out. Not sure exactly from where he is from, but I'm believing that's where it is. Of course, three workers immediately onto gas. Rax is about to finish just ever so quickly. Should have 50 gas once this pops, and bang, we should expect a Reaper out of this in just a second. Now he's got 50 gas. Come on, let's see a Reaper. Prove me right. And there it is. There is indeed the Reaper, of course. Marine is going to be in production, as well as the supply depot behind it. Of course, one gas has been taken here, so it's going to be a somewhat delayed Reaper here out of FOV. There is, I guess you could say, a way to look at that is that by doing it this way, you at least get some Marine out for some early defense very, very quickly. But then, of course, he can back it with, oh, it looks like another Marine. Is he going to actually use the 100 gas? He's going to throw down a factory with that, actually. That's a pretty good choice. So I think he's deciding to maybe switch it up a little bit and go with a bit of a very quick tech tree here. So we'll see where this goes in just a couple of moments. Of course, second gas is gone down as well, and we do have Reapers out on the map here as it's moving its way across. We can expect a couple of things out of him. I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a harass. Of course, there's going to be Marines in the maps, but the Reaper should have no problem being able to outmaneuver them. Of course, if there's more than 2 or 3 Marines on the map, then of course they can drop this Reaper, and he was not careful. He's, oh my goodness, he's just barely able to sneak on out of there. Of course, Marines are in hot pursuit. Of course, a couple of the other observers have been dropped, and this is, of course, being casted from replays, and this is game number 1 at a best of 5 series, so we'll keep an eye peeled on how this goes. This, of course, like I said, game number 1, so we'll see where this is. Okay. Reaper's combat drugs kicking into gear, healing up that Reaper. As you can see, you're wondering why the health bar is going up. Well, that's the reason why. And they are going to try a little bit of a different approach. Let's go straight up the middle here. Going to take a quick peek, see the Marines are there, and this is going to be very, very hard for him to break. As we see, Marines are trying to cluster up at the top. You can see FOV is doing a very, very good job defending here. But at the same token, Sodsax is trying to get up into space. Not to do so much some damage, but more just to be able to do some scouting. And this is going to be a bit of a nuisance here. And if we do take a quick look, we're going to see that, of course, it is a factory and a starport. Has not been switched over just quite yet. One Marine does get sniped and one Reaper does get sniped and taken down by the Marines of FOV. So a little bit of a small victory there, but more importantly, denying that scouting information. In fact, denying even the fact that there is a reactor going down onto this barrack. So very good play here by FOV. But then meanwhile, Sodsax down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map has got a reactor on a factory of his own, of course, throwing down a starport as well, and expanding behind this. So he is going to have a very nice economic advantage very early on in this game. But of course, he's going to have to deal with the fact that there is cloaked Banshees on the way from FOV. But there is, of course, Hellions on the ground. And depending on how he gets them out on the map, he may be able to see the Banshees as they're on their way out. We'll see where this goes. And He is also getting Medevac, or rather, sorry, Viking at the same time. So this is going to be a nice little interesting build that he's got going on here. Of course, some defensive Widow Mines also going down. So he's kind of getting ready for a Banshee play. I think he kind of suspects it because of the fact that he didn't see his opponent expanding it. And currently the meta is supporting Banshee play or Banshee expands. So something he's certainly going to see. Now, Marines are going to have a bit of a problem here, but they are going to be able to snipe away at least one of the Hellions. Hellions unable to get a good lineup on those Marines because of the fact that they were set up across the top of that ramp as opposed to being in a big group where they can actually be a bit of a problem. And of course, tanks and Marines are pretty darn good units as they're going to move on out across the map. He's got to be careful of a run by though, but FOV looking pretty aggressive. Of course, he does have a Banshee down here, also wanting to do a little bit of damage, and he's going to get some shots off, killing off one SCV, trying to get enough shots off onto that Widow Mine. Does take care of it at the same time. Cloak does go down as well, and he's going to continue to work away onto this worker line here, doing so much damage, killing them off one by one. These SCVs do not even stand a chance. Then they're clustering around this missile turret, trying to get it up, and if he can, he's going to be in great shape, but he's just continuing to lose them. They're not even continuing to build this. Meanwhile, there is an attack at the front lines, and FOV looking so strong, and as he's going to siege away and kill off some more SCVs. This is just an absolute nightmare here. Of course, a Raven and a Viking do show on up and help take care of it, and of course the missile turret does ultimately finish, but that does not negate the fact that there is a cluster of Marines at the bottom of this ramp, continue to work away on to the supply depot, one of them down. This is going to get a little bit tricky here for Sodsax because FOV, it looks like he's getting him closer and closer to that supply block. Of course, it is going to cloak the Banshee, but the Banshee is going to have to be, well, he's probably going to have to move or want something. We'll see how this goes. Tank is going to get a shot off on by the Hunter Seeker missile by that Raven. And again, Marines are going to continue to work away here, doing so much damage here. The FOV looking very much in control, but he is incurring some minor losses. Again, Banshee is still in the skies here, somehow still alive, trying to stay out of the vision of that Raven, but unfortunately does ultimately die. Banshee of his own also showing up, and Sodsax is ultimately going to hold. But, you know, this is where the expense is at 24 workers. We take a look at the income tab. It's 29 to 15. And we even see that FOV has expanded on behind this. So a very successful initial raid here. A double-pronged attack with those Banshees as well. Rather, yeah, a couple of Banshees as well as some Marines and tanks up in front. Now, Sodsax is going to be in a little bit of a pickle here. He's going to try and expand, use those meals to try and get back on out. But he has a couple of good units here. And more importantly, he does have that Raven, of course, Viking and Banshees as well to assist with defense. But the biggest problem is that his economy is so much hindered right now. He's going to have a difficult time as he continues to deal with the harassment of FOV. FOV is going to get spotted here as he's moving across the map by these two Hellions as they're desperately trying to retreat back. Hellions, unfortunately, not so good against tanks. Tanks certainly not going to have a problem with them, and this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. I mean, we do see continued production being thrown down here in the base of FOV while he's trying to do these engagements, and he's doing them very successfully. Of course, a nice scan up on the high ground just to try and reveal what he's up against. He is going to push on up. Of course, it's going to be immediately evacuated, and the orbital command is going to get picked up. Unfortunately, it's already half damage from the previous engagement, and of course Hunter Seeker missiles are going to go down on the siege tanks as well. One of them does fire off, doing a sizable amount of damage, but not enough to kill it. Of course, Marines are going to continue to work off on these Banshees, which are cloaking, but the scan is going to reveal them. They are ultimately going to die. Of course, Raven is going to go down here as Viking, and a big GG, and Sodsax is unfortunately not going to be able to hold. An FOV from Team IvD Gaming will be victorious in game number 1. Stick around. Game number 2 coming up at you in just a moment.